we're just going to do a couple of examples and you'll see what I'm talking about the ambiguous case. That means that there's two triangles. Last week we talked about either no solution. We talked about no solution. So remember, we put it in our calculator, we got the error message, and then we talked about we had one triangle. So in this case, we're going to talk about there's just two. So from now on, every time you go to solve these triangles, we're going to assume that there are two triangles, and I'll show you what that means and how to do that. So let's just go to the examples. All right. We are going to assume that there are two triangles present. So this is how I want you guys to set it up to show. You're going to say triangle 1 and triangle 2. Okay. We're just going to talk about solving for angles right now, and we'll talk about sides. You guys already know how to do that with law of sines. So what the first thing you do is the angle that's given, you write it down. So I have A is 43.1 degrees. And you're going to assume that there's two triangles and that angle that they gave you is in both those triangles. So now we're going to find a second angle. With the information that they gave us, I can write my first proportion, which would be the sine of 43.1 over 186.2. And I'm going to find angle B since they gave me side B. So I'm going to have the sine of B over 248.6. As I go through this, if you have any questions, I need you to stop me, please. So the first thing we're going to do is cross multiply. So I have 186.2 times the sine of B equals the sine of 43.1 times 248.6. Divide both sides by 186.2. So in my calculator, I get that the sine of B is, give me one second. So in my calculator gives me 0.9122. Now that's not the angle measure, that's the sine of the angle. So in our calculators, hit second sine, you get that sine -1. You gotta do it to both sides. So I get angle B is second answer. 68.5 degrees. No, I'm sorry, 65.8 degrees. 65.8 degrees. All right, so if I were to finish this triangle and I were to find angle C, we would add 43.1, right? 43.1 plus 65.8 equals 108.9, and I subtract 180 from that, so 180 minus 108.9, and I find out that angle C in the first triangle is 71 degrees. All right, now if I would try to find side C, I would use this information, and I would set up sine of 71.1 over C. Now to see if there is a second triangle, what you do with that first angle that we found, right? We have the given, we assume it's in both, but then you take that angle that we found, that first one that we found, and you find its supplement. What I mean by that, supplement means the two angles add up to be 180. So you're going to take 180 minus 65.8 and see what you get. So I get 180 minus 65.8. I get 114.2. So B equals 114.2 degrees. Now, add these two together. 114.2 plus 43.1. I get 157.3. How many degrees are in one whole triangle? Anybody? Anybody? How many degrees are in a triangle? So there's 180 degrees in a triangle. So if I take 180 minus 157.3, 180 minus 157.3, I find that there's another triangle present. This angle would be 22.7 degrees. So what you do, you take the given, right? You take the given angle, you write it down and assume it's in both triangles. Then you find the second angle. Then you take the supplement, you find the supplement. Then you add these two together. If they are less than 180, then yes, it does create a second triangle. So let's just do some examples. Let's figure this out. So the first thing I'm going to do, guys, right? I'm going to assume there's two triangles. So I have triangle 1 and triangle 2. In triangle 1, A is 42 degrees. If there's a second triangle, you'd have a second triangle and A would still be 42 degrees. So now I'm going to set up a proportion given the information. So I have sine 42 divided by 70, angle over side, equals, since they gave me side B, I know I'm going to find angle B. So when I cross multiply, 70 times the sine of B equals 122 times the sine of 42. Divide both sides by 70. So sine of B equals, let's do this in our calculator, you get 1.167. Well, when you do second sine and you put that in your calculator, you get the error message. What does it mean when we get an error message? That means there's no triangle. So it's not a case that there's two triangles here. In this case, there's no triangle can be formed because we got our error message. So let's do this example. Set it up. Assume, guys, assume that there are two triangles. So triangle 1, triangle 2. A is 70 degrees here. So in the second triangle, if there is one, A would be 70 degrees. So take the information that they gave us. I can say sine of 70 over 25 equals sine of angle C over 26. Since they gave me side C, and I'm looking for angle C. Okay, so we're going to cross multiply.
Mom, mine is right here.
Okay, baby.
Get it.
Please.
Please, can you get it?
1 second. Hang on. All right, so I get sine C equals, hang on 1 second. Okay, so 26 times the sine of 70 divided by 25 gives me 0.9772. All right, so I have to do sine -1 in my calculator. And I get that angle C is 77.8 degrees. So angle C is 77.8 degrees. Now, if there is a second triangle, which is what we're going to find out right now, I take that angle that I just found and I find its supplement, meaning I take 180 minus 77.8. So 180 minus 77.8, and I get 102.2 degrees. Now, to finish your triangles, guys, if there are two triangles present, you can add up the two angles that you find, which would be 70 plus 77.8. I get 147.8. Can I take 180 minus that? Yes. So 180 minus 147.8. And I get 32.2 degrees. So angle B is 32.2 degrees. In this triangle, in the second triangle here, I take these two measurements, so 70 plus 102.2. I get 172.2. Can I take 180 minus that? Yes. So 180 minus 172.2, and I get 7.8. So in the second triangle, B is 7.8 degrees. Now you can find side B. Now we found angle B. We can find side B by using our law of sines. It's going to be a different measurement in each one because they're different triangles. So, okay, beautiful. 1 second. So I'm going to use the information that they gave me. Sine of 70 over 25. And if I'm going to find side B, then I'm going to use my information for B. So I have sine of 32.2 over B. That's going to find B in the first triangle. So cross multiply 25 times the sine of 32.2 equals sine 70 times B. Divide both sides by sine of 70. So B in the first triangle would be 25 times the sine of 32.2 divided by sine of 70. So 14.2 about. So this is about, side B is about 14.2. Now we do the same thing for the second triangle. You just use different, you use the same angle and measurement given. So 70 sine 70 over 25. And then you do sine of 7.8 over B. Cross multiply. So you get sine of 70 times B equals 25 times the sine of 7.8. Divide both sides by sine 70. And I get b equals, so 25 times the sine of 7.8 divided by sine 70. And I get b is about 3.6. So here it's about 3.6. Let's go to this next example, and then I'll let you guys get working on your homework, because you've got homework and you're going to be able to work on it tomorrow in class and ask me questions. So I have triangle 1 and triangle 2. All right, they're giving us angle B. So in both cases, I'm going to assume that there's two triangles, and each triangle has an angle B that's 45 degrees. So here is the proportion that they gave us that we can use. So I have the sine of 45 over 27 equals, they gave me side A, so that means I'm going to find angle A. So sine of angle A over 28. Cross multiply. So sine A times 27 equals 28 times the sine of 45. Divide both sides by 27. And I get the sine of angle A is 28 times the sine of 45 divided by 27. Okay, I got 0.7333. So angle A, because I'm going to do second sine of that, is about 47, we'll say 47.2 degrees. So 47.2 degrees. Now, if there is a second triangle, we would find it right here. So I'm going to say if there's a second triangle, it's going to be A, not B. I'm going to take the supplement, so 180 minus 47.2. 180 minus 47.2, I get 132.8 degrees, all right? So in this first triangle, C would be, I'm going to add these two up, so 45 plus 47.2, I get 92.2. 180 minus that, so 180 minus 92.2, and I get angle C is 87.8 degrees. In this triangle over here, I add up these two, so 45 plus 132.8, I get 177.8. Now that's close to 180, but it's not bigger than 180, so there's still some degrees left over. I could say 180 minus 177.8, and I get 2.2. So this triangle has an angle that's tiny, and it's 2.2. If you guys were given, if you were working all this stuff out, right? I had triangle 1, triangle 2. And just say triangle 1, you were given 35 degrees, right? Our A's. And then you found out angle B was 100. So angle B over here, 180 minus 100 would be 80. You'd add them together, add them together. Guys, if when you add the two angles together, if it's less than 180, then yes, two triangles are going to be present. But say that it was bigger than 180. Say when you added these two numbers up, whatever it was 200. Then you know that a second triangle could not exist because you can't take 180 minus 200 and get a positive number. So it's super important that you guys just pay attention to what you're doing.